press conference yesterday where she said that she hoped that what she had achieved was actually just to show people if you want to do something, you can. Just get out there and do it. We hopefully will be talking to Ellen at 8:10 live from France, so stay tuned for that.
Has she inspired you, Sophie, to do something
she has
to follow
inspired
your
me.
dream?
She's absolutely amazing. We've been following her
Fantastic.
closely over the past few weeks.
Which dream are you following at the moment?
I wouldn't tell you.
Oh, come on.
Not
Sophie,
live
you
on
can do that.
television, Jeremy.
Oh, my God, that's interesting. I'll ask you after the programme in that case. Right, Florida. Motorists caught there speeding or guilty of other minor violations are laughing their way out of trouble. They're being encouraged to attend traffic school to learn the error of their ways. Some of the schools are run by stand-up comedians who claim their re-education programme helps cut the number of crashes by 50%.
It's a potentially expensive end of the day for drivers trying to wiggle illegally through rush hour traffic.
Sir, I stopped you because using a right turn only lane. Listen.
The cost, an $80 fine, but the punishment will be waived if the driver attends traffic school. There are benefits: no license penalty points, no increased insurance premiums, and the odd chuckle.
You see that cop, you know, they might have some attitude. You know what I'm talking about. You see them, right? They got that buzz cut, 20-inch biceps, you know. Hi, my name's Margaret, okay?
I got you with the radar unit, which is mounted on the motorcycle. We're doing a 38, okay?
People say, oh, it's a speed trap. It's a speed trap. No, it's a trap if the cop is standing in front of the speed limit sign saying, oh, like that, all right, that's a trap, all right?
That's okay. Everybody else cracks a joke about us. If it gets the point across to them, I think it'll be a good tool.
Speed, how fast were you going?
45 and a 30.
People don't feel the speed anymore in the cars, you know. The days of the Model T are long gone, you know. Turn, slow down, you moron, you know. As far as crashes are concerned, it cuts it in about half. People that have had a collision that had to come to class, generally it cuts that rate of return to them about in half. How many times you're going through that intersection, it's a yellow light, it turns red, you go through it, you say, yeah, baby, all right? So you guys are way ahead.
Humor to me is the greatest lesson. People learn from humor.
It helps you learn. It keeps you, I'll use the word entertained, but really it keeps you awake. It keeps you motivated to pay attention to what the instructor has to say.
What's surprising about this program is that it goes against the grain of the American judicial system, which is heavily weighted in favor of punishment rather than rehabilitation. Gonzalez ends his routine with a warning about the dangers of drunken driving.
That's a big one. No headlights. You're driving around and saying, damn, I'm wasted. I can't see a damn thing. No, you moron. You didn't turn your headlights on, all right?
Despite the giggles, the traffic school graduates are now fully aware that in Florida, as elsewhere, drink driving is no laughing matter. Malcolm Brabant, BBC News, Miami.
Nice story. Well done, Malcolm.
Time now for a look at the weather down on the South Bank, and Sarah is there. Good morning.
Good morning, Sophie. Good morning to you at home. And it's pretty damp here on the South Bank this morning. We've had bits and pieces of drizzle. It's also rather breezy, but at least it's mild. The temperature's around 11 or 12 degrees Celsius. And in Cardiff, it's mild too. It's pretty breezy here and it's raining. There's just about a few drops of rain here on the camera lens. But if we head north into Belfast, here the morning is very different. It's a dry, bright start to the day, but it is somewhat colder. The temperature here is just 4 degrees. So there's plenty of dry weather around across many northern parts of the UK at the moment. Just a few showers around in northern Scotland, but it's a wet old start today across many parts of England and Wales. The heaviest rain stretching through southern parts of northern England, down through the Midlands, across Wales and down into the southwest. So fairly difficult driving conditions in these areas, surface water and spray, some fog on the hilltops, but the worst weather is across parts of Wales. Some heavy rain here, some dangerous driving conditions and indeed a possibility of some further localised flooding. So it's a wet morning for many parts of England and Wales, but a bright one across more northern areas. And that bright weather will push its way steadily southeastwards through the day, although it is going to stay wet throughout the afternoon across the southeast. We should see some sunshine around. It is going to be quite windy, and the temperature in southern areas will actually fall as the brighter weather moves in. So this morning, temperatures around 11 or 12 degrees, but this afternoon around 6 to 8. Generally, temperatures this afternoon will be around 8 degrees Celsius. Now tonight we'll lose the rain across the southeast through the evening and the first part of the night, and then most places are going to be dry and fine. A little bit of patchy mist and fog will form, and it's going to turn quite cold. The temperature dropping to around freezing, even a little below in some parts of England and Wales, although it will be milder across the northwest. And then tomorrow there's a risk of a little bit of rain around in northern areas, but generally after the mist and fog clears, it's going to be a bright, dry day with plenty of sunshine for most of us. That's it. Jeremy and Sophie, back to you.
Sarah, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Sarah. Lots more of that coming up. Now it's time for news, weather, travel, where you are.
Good morning from Newsroom Southeast. I'm Lou James. 3 men from the Southeast are facing prison today for their part in the biggest internet paedophile ring ever. The Wonderland Club, an international network of 180 paedophiles, swapped thousands of photos of children. The 3 were amongst 7 Britons arrested in a global police operation spanning 3 continents. Mayor Ken Livingstone has backed down on plans to increase council tax bills by nearly £40 a year. The proposed increase was put forward to help fund extra frontline police officers.
The Mayor's plans to raise extra revenue for more police officers has been met with opposition by the London Assembly. They've called for tighter budgets from the Metropolitan Police Force and Transport for London. But the Mayor insists that to fund an extra 1,000 police officers, he'll need to increase council taxes in the capital. He's now accepted that his original figure of 73 pence a week is unlikely to be accepted by the Assembly. He's announced today that he'll be putting forward a budget based on a 54 pence a week increase. That proposal will be scrutinised by the Assembly on Thursday. Dan Saladino, Newsroom South East.
A major police inquiry is underway this morning to track down animal rights protesters who attacked the premises of 2 pharmaceutical companies in the Slough area. 87 people were arrested after protesters broke into a site owned by Bayer plc. A friend of Stephen Lawrence, who was with the teenager when he was killed in a race attack, is to hear this morning if he can proceed with his negligence case against the Metropolitan Police. Dwayne Brooks sued the Met Commissioner and several officers for negligence following the failed inquiry into the murder. And items including the heart, eye and brains from the body zone of the Millennium Dome will be among more than 15,000 lots to go under the hammer at the end of this month. The new Millennium Experience Company has confirmed the week-long sale will include items ranging from forklift trucks to character costumes. The Roman Catholic Bishop of Brentwood in Essex has changed his email address because it contained the word demon. The Reverend Thomas McMahon said he made the change after members of his congregation mentioned it. Demon is the name of the company which provided the diocese with email facilities. And now it's time for travel online with Jules Wilson at Scotland Yard.
Thanks very much, Lou. Well, it's the usual stuff if you're heading out on the Blackwall Tunnel this morning. That's towards town on the southern approach. It's slowing northbound and backing from the tip of the Woolwich Road flyover. Heading west of town, the M4, that's busy in eastbound, particularly through the 2-lane section, junctions 3 to 2. And then further in towards town on the M4, you're stacked up over the elevated section, and that's slow then onto the A4, heading through Chiswick and Hammersmith, particularly up over the Hammersmith flyover towards Earls Court. Now, staying west of town, got some problems as well from the A501 to the Marylebone flyover. It's heading over the A5. It's then busy in through Euston, and that's coming off the A40, which is very sluggish to the northern roundabout, coming from Gypsy Corner. The Target roundabout's been affected with those queues this morning as well. Now onto the M25. That again very slow coming. I can't seem to get that picture properly at the moment, but it's very slow both ways past Maple Cross at junction 17, coming through Hertfordshire, particularly towards the western stretch of the M40 and the M4. Public transport, you've got severe delays on the Jubilee line and delays too on the Northern line. Don't forget, if you're heading out on the roads this morning, you can check out the travel picture across London, and that's by logging onto the jam cams on the London Live website. Now back to Lou.
Thanks, Jules. Now here's the weather with Joe Price.
A very good morning to you. Well, it's a bit of a gloomy start to the working week. We've got a lot of rain about, and that's heading our way later on this afternoon. For the time being, this morning it's slicing through this midriff of the British Isles. That will steadily move down towards us in the southeast by about lunchtime. Initially a drier but cloudy prospect through Kent and Sussex. Ahead of that, there's that band of rain developing, and as I mentioned, that will steadily slip southwards and eastwards throughout the afternoon picture, with the heaviest of that rain through Kent and Sussex by late afternoon, clearing by the early evening. At best, temperatures between 10 and 11 degrees Celsius will feel a wee bit fresher than we've had over the weekend. But the forecast over the next day or so, some dry and bright weather on the way, with chilly starts but mild on Wednesday.
Thanks very much. That's it for us. We're back in half an hour.
Interview. An examination.
Was it love at first sight?
Definitely. She's gorgeous.
To discover the experiences.
People said, but your behaviour was so bad. I said, I know, it's hysterical.
Opinions.
Musicians are a very hurt bun.
Of a personality.
It's Tom Jones. I hope I'm pregnant by the end of this show.
Parkinson, the definition of a good interview. A new series starts with Dolly Parton and Denise Lewis, Saturday at 9:05 on BBC One.
Hello and welcome to Breakfast from BBC News.
It is 8 o'clock on Monday, the 12th of February. Good morning and welcome to the programme. The headlines this morning: within hours of completing her round-the-world epic, Ellen MacArthur was talking about her next challenge, a race across the Atlantic.
She may have finished second last night, but her welcome was bigger than the winners.
The government is planning changes in secondary education in England with more church and specialist schools.
And NASA's preparing to land a probe on an asteroid. The research might help save the Earth from catastrophe in the future.
Ellen MacArthur live on this programme in about 10 minutes' time, so stay tuned. But right now, Maura with the morning.
Oh, that's going to be the hardest moment of the race in my mind forever.
Ellen MacArthur now has the status of an international sporting heroine. Still bemused by her popularity, she tried to explain why.
I hope that what people have followed, what people are interested in, is just the story that if you really have a dream, you can make it happen. And that's what I feel is the most important message I have. It's just to say that if you really want to do something, you can. And I just happen to choose to do it in a boat.
The celebrations are likely to continue for many days as France enjoys the victory of its honorary Frenchwoman. For Ellen, plans for her next voyage have already started. The champagne is still flowing, but she'll soon be preparing for the next challenge. Ellen MacArthur may have come second, beaten only perhaps by experience rather than talent. But in her own words, anyone who crosses the finish line of the Vendée Globe is a winner. Jane O'Brien, BBC News, Les Sables d'Olonne.
Every secondary school in England will provide special lessons for their brightest pupils, according to new government plans. The Education Secretary, David Blunkett, will set out proposals today to establish a national academy, coordinating classes and courses for gifted children. And the announcement comes on the day Labour publishes its ideas for transforming secondary schools.
This is a lesson in becoming an entrepreneur. At this school in Manchester, pupils manufacture, market and sell biscuits. The school specialises in technology, and Labour intends to encourage more schools to specialise in certain subjects if they win the next election.
One is here. That might be, say, the third person in the scores for the GCSE.
The government believes encouraging comprehensive schools to specialise and to develop their own distinctive ethos is key to raising standards in secondary education. Today, the Prime Minister will promise to create more church schools and schools of other faiths where parents want them. He'll also announce plans for a national academy to coordinate special classes and courses for the brightest pupils in every secondary school. But while Labour believes encouraging secondary schools to become distinct from each other is good for standards, some critics fear Labour is undermining the ideals of comprehensive education and creating a system which is both unequal and unfair. Sue Littlemore, BBC News.
The Chancellor, Gordon Brown, is expected to be told by the European Union today that Britain has fulfilled the conditions necessary for membership of the single currency. At talks in Brussels, EU finance ministers will examine the government's proposals for bringing the British economy into line with the rest of the Eurozone.
The Chancellor of the Exchequer is firmly in the spotlight. European Union finance ministers have been heartened by the announcement that if Labour wins the election, there could be a referendum within 2 years on British membership of the single currency. During their talks, the ministers will examine a document which shows that Britain does meet the Maastricht Treaty conditions for joining the euro. On inflation, interest rates and economic growth, the British economy is now more in step with that of mainland Europe. Gordon Brown's likely to point out, though, the government has set its own 5 economic tests, which would have to be assessed before any decision. But today's meeting will also highlight one of the reasons why many Eurosceptics argue Britain should stay out of the project: The EU is expected to reprimand Ireland, already a single currency member, for not doing enough to control inflation. It's a stark reminder that countries taking part in the euro lose much of their right to run their own economies. Johnathan Charles, BBC, Brussels.
Here, one of the country's leading experts on traffic congestion believes government plans to spend billions of pounds on improving roads will do little or nothing to speed car journeys. According to the report by a government transport advisor, the 10-year transport plan, launched last year, will at best shave just a few seconds off journey times. Environmentalists want ministers to abandon proposals for building new bypasses and to concentrate on smaller schemes instead. Lastminute.com have announced their results for the last 3 months of last year, and they've posted a net loss of £12 million, twice the amount lost in the same period the year before. Yet the company says business is buoyant, with more people visiting its site, and they now have almost 3 million subscribers. They've also announced they're forming a reciprocal commercial partnership with thomascook.com, the internet arm of the high street travel agent. After yesterday's publication of the Human Genetic Blueprint, a team of British researchers is hoping the code will help unlock the secrets of heart disease. The British Heart Foundation has launched its biggest study of the genes that cause the most common forms of heart disease. They're looking for 2,000 families to take part. Scientists are trying to land an unmanned spacecraft on an asteroid, and if all goes according to plan, the probe will drop gently onto the surface of the 21-mile rock just after 8 o'clock this evening. The American Space Agency probe known as Near Shoemaker has been orbiting the asteroid for the past year, and the main aim of the landing is for scientists to practice maneuvers that might help in future missions.
The uninviting space boulder is named Eros after the Greek god of love, and tonight is when it'll finally get to touch the probe called Near-Earth Asteroid Rendezvous, or NEAR for short. NEAR has been circling Eros for over a year, seeing what it's made of and sending pictures back to NASA. Built 5 years ago, it was designed to study the asteroid's geology, hoping this might tell us more about the early formation of the universe. And in the event that such a rock was heading for Earth, we would have to understand its structure before being able to destroy it or nudge it off course with a nuclear weapon. But the landing itself will be tricky. The gravity of Eros is very slight. A man could jump up over 1,000 feet. But because of the irregular shape, its pulling power is variable. They hope to make a soft landing in this saddle at about 3 miles an hour. But the craft isn't even designed to land, and it's only being attempted because it's close to the end of its useful life. The controllers here at Johns Hopkins University think it will probably crash. But it's a thrilling challenge, and they've got nothing to lose. Tom Heap, BBC News.
That's news for now. Over to Sophie.
Maura, thank you very much. Well, after 94 days of battle